Once upon a time there was an old goat. She had 7 kids. She loved them as much as only a mother can love her children. She was going to go into the forest, bring herbs and branches for lunch. She called all her children and warned them to be afraid of the evil wolf. He often pretends, but you can immediately recognize him by his rude voice and black paws. The kids understood everything and assured their mother that they would be very careful.
Okay.
The old goat set off calmly. Little time has passed. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door and shouted in a rude voice that the kids should immediately open it. But the kids from the rough voice realized that it was a wolf. They answered that it was not Mother's voice. Her voice was kind and thin, and this voice was very rude, which means it was a wolf. Then the wolf went to the merchant and bought himself a large piece of chalk. He ate it, and his voice became thin. He came back, knocked on the door, and in a thin voice asked the kids to open it. The wolf put its paw on the window and waits. And the kids saw her and answered that the mother's paws were not black, but white, which means it was a wolf. Then the wolf ran to the bakery and asked to give him some dough. The wolf anointed his paw with the dough. The villain approached the door for the 3rd time, put his white paw on the window and knocked. They saw the kids that the paw was white, and thought that it was their mother. They opened the door, but there was a wolf in front of them. They got scared and began to scatter in all directions. One kid jumped under the table, another on the bed, the 3rd on the stove, the 4th into the kitchen, the 5th into the closet, the 6th under the sink, and the 7th hid in the grandfather clock. But the wolf found them all, opened its jaws and swallowed one by one. Only one thing he did not find: the youngest, who hid in the clock. Having eaten his fill, the wolf left. He stretched out on a green meadow under a tree and fell asleep. Soon an old goat came home from the forest. Oh, what did she see there? The door was wide open. The table, chairs, benches were overturned. The wash basin was broken. Pillows and blankets were thrown from the bed. She began to look for her children, but she could not find them anywhere. I called them by name, but no one answered. She went up to the clock, and in response there was a thin voice of the youngest kid. She took him out of there, and he said that a wolf came and ate everyone. How the goat cried for her poor children. Finally, she left the house, and the youngest kid ran after her. She came to the meadow, so a wolf was lying by the tree and snoring, so that the branches were trembling. She looked at him from all sides and saw that in his swollen belly something was moving and floundering. She guessed that these were her children, and was very happy that they were still alive. She told the kid to run home as quickly as possible and bring scissors, a needle and thread. Then the goat cut the belly of the wolf with scissors, and from there one kid stuck out its head. And then the others jumped out, all 6, and nothing bad happened to them. What a joy it was! They began to hug their mother, jump and dance. Then the old goat said it would be nice to teach the wolf a lesson while he was still sleeping. They pulled stones and stuffed them into the wolf's belly. An old goat sewed up his belly, but he did not notice anything, never even moved. The wolf slept, got to his feet and felt such a thirst in his belly that he decided to drink water from the well. He barely approached the well, bent down to the water, and heavy stones pulled him to the bottom of the well. 7 kids saw this and began to dance for joy with their mother. That's how they taught the evil wolf a lesson. Girl Mary lived in the Kansas steppe with her puppy Toto, Uncle Henry and Aunt Em. In these places, hurricanes were common, and the family now and then hid in the cellar from the raging elements. One such day, Uncle Henry noticed an impending storm. He opened the cellar hatch and then called Mary and Aunt to hide. At that moment, the frightened Toto jumped off Mary's arms and hid under the bed. When the girl finally caught the puppy, the wind howled and the little house shook. The house turned around its axis several times and then began to slowly rise into the air, like a balloon. Soon the house landed, and he and Toto went out into the street. A green lawn with fruit trees spread around, and amazing flowers grew everywhere. This is how Mary ended up in the magical land of Oz. While admiring the wonders of nature, the girl did not notice how very strange people in hats approached her. They were adults, but no larger than little Mary. Chief among them was an old woman dressed all in white. She approached Mary and thanked her for helping the girl defeat the evil sorceress. Mary was very surprised. Then the old woman pointed to the house, from under which protruded feet in silver shoes. At that moment, the legs disintegrated into hundreds of small particles and disappeared, leaving only their shoes. Mary was even more frightened because she really wanted to go home. But as it turned out, neither the old woman in white nor other strange people in caps knew how to help the girl. They advised Mary to put on the silver shoes of the witch, go to the Emerald City, and find the powerful wizard Oz there. Only he could help Mary return home. There was one yellow brick road leading to the Emerald City. Mary set off along it. The first she met was a cornfield guarded by a scarecrow. Instead of a head, he had a pouch filled with straw, and his mouth and nose were painted with paint. The scarecrow turned out to be alive, and his name was Scarecrow. He told Mary that he also wants to get to the Wizard Oz to ask him for brains. The girl took pity on the scarecrow, helped him climb over the fence, and they hit the road. The yellow brick road led Mary and the scarecrow into the forest. Suddenly they heard someone moan. A human figure gleamed in the thicket of the forest. It was the Tin Woodman. Its parts were so rusted that he could not move an arm or a leg. Then, in a hut nearby, Mary found an oil can. She lubricated the woodman's parts, and he began to move again. It turned out that the woodcutter had long dreamed of getting to the Wizard Oz to get a real heart. So together they continued their journey to the Emerald City. A yellow brick trail led friends through a dense forest. Suddenly a lion jumped out of the thicket onto the road. As soon as he swung his paws at the scarecrow, he heard Toto barking and was very frightened. The lion told Mary that he was born shy and therefore does not mind going to the Wizard Oz and asking for real courage. When the friends finally reached the Emerald City, the Great Oz agreed to fulfill their wishes, but set one condition. He asked to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And my friends had to agree. Under cover of the night, Mary, the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Woodcutter made their way to the Witch of the West. She was waiting for them, and therefore sent flying monkeys to the friends. They threw the Tin Woodman off the cliff, poured all the straw out of the Scarecrow, and captured Mary and Leo. When Mary was brought to the Witch of the West, driven to despair, she poured water on the witch. To the girl's surprise, the old woman began to melt, and soon only a muddy puddle remained of her. When the friends returned to the Emerald City and demanded that the wizard fulfill their wishes, it turned out that Oz was not a wizard at all, but a real deceiver. However, he tried to fulfill the requests of his friends. So, Oz stuffed the Scarecrow's head with sawdust, from which he experienced a surge of wisdom. I inserted a scarlet silk heart into the Tin Woodman's chest. And he gave the cowardly lion a potion to drink, which made the king of beasts feel brave. Seeing Mary's silver shoes, Oz laughed. After all, the shoes were magic, and all this time they could carry the girl home. Mary said goodbye to her new friends, tapped her heel 3 times, and ended up at home with Toto. But the silver shoes were lost on the road.